All right, so moving on to the next part in our joke MMA tier list series, we got the light heavyweight, and just based upon like looking at like the rankings and that stuff, honestly, just based upon like kind of like the top like 4 to 5 fighters, I honestly think like the honest one is honestly like the Glazed tier list. So we got Bonham being like, bro, chill. That means it's kind of like, dude, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. A little too much glaze is kind of like, okay, like I understand they're cool, but like no. Glaze is kind of like, okay, it's like a respectable amount. This is kind of like the all right, a little underrated, and this is like, okay, they most definitely deserve more of it. And you know, basically just gonna go through the entire roster, just kind of just like go through it, and like and also like addressing the one comment for like my, I think it was my welterweight video. As I said, no, it's like I was kind of going through like throw problems. Luckily, like I got water on me, got some water, and I kind of shifted the mic to hopefully help out with the quality of it. So should be good. But like no, yeah. So we're basically just be getting on head to it, and without further ado, we will start. First up is Alex Pereira. Honestly, just based upon like the complete opposite of like side of his fan base, we're kind of taking the average, which is kind of like I'll say he's like properly glazed because it's like yeah no it's like everyone admits saying like oh if he gets into a match with a wrestler he's gonna get like wrestle beat, but the problem is he just hasn't gotten it yet, which is like I feel like it would have been if he faced Ankalaev. However, he's facing Khalil Roundtree, which is kind of like which kind of like fair statement, but also facing as Jan. So I feel like for the fact of everyone who he has beaten, but everyone kind of like has him being like, oh, he's already in like the top 10 like ghost eyes, which honestly I feel like he's like right outside of it, just because of just how active he is. This dude's saving cards and that sort of stuff, and I honestly think that's pretty impressive. So yeah, so I'll just say for him like honestly like respectful not glaze. Next up is Yuri Prohaska. Probably would say like a little too much glaze. I feel like this is from like mainly the Alex Pereira fights where everyone's saying like, oh, he's gonna like knock him out, just KO him. Because like the thing is, it's just kind of like he like yeah he fights more of his chin, like more of his hands a little down and more of like chin up, which I mean like it helps with his style. However, is like saying that that style will work against the two division glory kickboxer and one of the few like Hall of Fame like fighters in there. It's a little crazy of a statement. It's a little is. I had like Alex Pereira winning both the matches he fought against. And honestly, I feel like them saying like, oh, he's gonna have another run when Alex Pereira is the champion. I think it's like not that it's impossible; it's just improbable. So that's my opinion. Next up is Ankalaev, which honestly, I'm trying to think. I think with a guy like him, I honestly just think it's just kind of like he's probably in like respectable category because like everyone in this saying he's probably gonna be the best challenge for Alex Pereira, which I personally agree with. I think he would probably be the best suitor to kind of like try to beat him. However, the problem is he kind of like fucked himself over by basically saying like, no, we fought at my time in Abu Dhabi, and Alex Pereira was like, no, you're not being active enough. All right, I'll face Yuri again. Which honestly, I feel like kind of took him down a bit from being like the oh hey like just like make it kind of like worse for him. Which honestly, I think that's a pretty fair statement. I think that's pretty fair, pretty respectable thing. Like honestly, like I 100% agree with kind of that sort of statement of like Alex Pereira being like, "Oh, I want to fight like now. You're not gonna fight me now? Okay, fine. I'll find someone else." Like honestly, think that's like a fair statement to do. Like I don't see a problem with that really. Um, yeah. So next up is like Jamal Hill. I think just because of recency, we kind of forget about the beating he put on like Glover Teixeira. He retired him in front of his home crowd. Great, crazy power. And I felt like he actually would have been a pretty solid champion. I felt like he probably would have gotten title defense against Yuri, maybe one against like Jan if he were to face for the belt again. But I felt like he would have lost to Alex Pereira. Like I felt like he would have been actually a pretty solid like champion. and also just kind of like, but I feel like with all like the recent stuff, it kind of clouds the overall like career of Jamal Hill. And honestly, I think it, I kind of feel like it kind of just like makes like sense, kind of, to be kind of like where it is. So yeah, no, I don't see the fair. And speaking of which, Jan Blahovic, I feel like he does not get as much respect as deserved. Yeah, he won the belt. He he won the belt, and just like his rise, he went from being a can to being a champion. Like, how many people have like actively like done that? Where it's just kind of like, yeah, no, like you are like rising yourself through like the ranks to the point where you basically just become like a champion. Like, that's kind of crazy. And I feel like he doesn't really get as much respect as I feel like he should kind of deserve. Which, honestly, I feel like he kind of does. He kind of does deserve more like respect for it. Overall, it's like for the totality of his career. Next up is Rakic. Rakic, he's basically just like a point fighter. He's just like kind of boring, a little bit of a point fighter ish. Like he's still a great fighter. Like that's the thing. It's like Rocket Rakic is a goaded ass name, but at the same time, he lost his last two matches against Jan and Yuri, and the difference between those is almost 2 years. I get he had an injury, he was coming off of it, but at the same time, it's just kind of like a we kind of people were kind of expecting him to kind of be like, oh hey, like he's gonna be like it's a very high title contention, and I just think he would just be like a gatekeeper for the people who are actually in contention for it. I don't think he will be at that list, and I feel like that's totally fine. I think he should. I think that's a fine placement for him, kind of. Next up is Nikita Kharov. Honestly, just from like looking at like kind of like the career of him, it's like he does like a lot of work. Like 23 first round finishes is insane. Won his last match, however, it was kind of like it was all like last year in March in 2023. So honestly, I kind of say like just for kind of the run, like 28 of his 30 wins comes from finishes, and 16 of them is by submissions. And he's only like 32. I think he kind of deserves like in that like not glazed enough category because it's like Duke's the other thing. Like yeah, he does has 9 losses, but at the same time, I think he honestly deserves like some like solid amount of respect for it. Next up is Volkan Ozdemir. Do I have? Did I forget to add him? Please tell me I have him. Where is he? Wait, did I confuse Volkan? Oh my god, I misconfused him. Rakic is supposed to be here. There we go. But like no, yeah, Ozdemir should be here. That was an honest mistake by me. I completely forgot misplaced the tattoos. Honestly, that's on me. But like I'll just say this about like Ozdemir. He is again like pretty good fighter. A lot of wins. Got a submission in there, but like a lot of it is just kind of just like he fights like once a year. So it's just kind of like I don't think he just has like enough activities for him to win. I also just don't think he would have like really the skills to kind of like get up there. Like he's a respectable fighter. I don't think he'll be kind of like in like a. I just feel like he would be like a victim for like an Alex Pereira. I think he honestly just would be. That's just my opinion though. Next up is Khalil Roundtree. Honestly, just based upon the fact that he got popped for PEDs for going against for during goes Jamal Hill, took multiple months break to only get himself into a title shot. I think he gets a little too much. Like he's a very good fighter, very vicious, like Muay Thai fighter. Like he basically like wins a lot of games. Like we saw what he did to Anthony Smith, where he basically just like raised his hand above him before he delivered like a hammer fist. but then like strike it down, like which honestly was kind of like a badass kind of statement for him to do, honestly. And like trying to think of his one match. It was like that one match where he went against like a guy and he basically just like, no, not Dawkins, not Jacoby. Who was it? It was after his break, during like his like long break to like study more of Muay Thai. Okay, gotta take some water. Who am I thinking about? Hold on, like this gonna know. Anders, yeah, it was Anders. Anders after his loss to Johnny Walker, like he went crazy. Like he absolutely went crazy for 15 minutes, just absolutely just mauling his legs with kicks. And again, like he's a menace. He's an absolute badass. However, I just feel like the idea of like him beating Alex or having the possibility to beat Alex is kind of crazy. And the whole reason that is kind of crazy is because Khalil Roundtree is literally just a shorter Alex in like the way they fight. Because both of them are vicious like kickers, destroy up your legs, and they just like will absolutely like give you a hook that will literally just send you to the shadow realm. However, it's just kind of like Alex is 6'4", Khalil Roundtree is like 6'1". So like the size difference is kind of like the main factor here. So I just think if Khalil gets the round standing up, I think Alex is just gonna like kick at him from range and then just set up just like a mean like left hook to just like obliterate Khalil. And it's like some people are thinking like, oh, like Khalil's gonna win. I think it's which like I think he's gonna have a fair shot. I think if he can just play at this, like be more up close and just like not get caught by that left hook, I think he will be fine. But like, I think he's most likely gonna lose that match, honestly. Next up is Johnny Walker. Dude's just a goofy dude. Like he's honestly just goofy. So I mean, everyone kind of knows it. It's not like a thing where it's just kind of like, oh, like he's like no one's saying like, oh, he's gonna make a run at the title. Everyone kind of like understands like what he is. So for that, I think he's just properly glazed, proper amount of glaze. I don't think he would be like a little too much or in like the bro chill category. I think he's like at a proper level of it. Carlos Olberg. Black Jack is already like kind of a cool name. I ain't gonna lie. Sorry, I had like a little cough. Where to put him? Where to put him? I mean, like he's 11-1, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions, like 6 on being the first round. Pretty good, honestly. I don't think he'll be like the future of like light heavyweight, which I mean like makes sense. He's 33, but also he's not like underrated, but he's also not like glaze. He's like perfectly like in like this like kind of glaze, like respectable amount of glaze. That's honestly what like my opinion is. I think he's like up there. As a Mad Murzaka professional, the fact that he's 14-0 and people are just kind of just like, oh, like I probably would say like, but like no one's really expecting him to be kind of like, oh, hey, like he's gonna like win or at least like be like make a maybe like a short kind of run into being like I don't know like a victim for like a number one contender fight. Honestly, like heck, I didn't even realize he was 14-0. I didn't even realize that honestly. So I think just because of that alone, and me kind of like underrating him, I feel like he gets the not glazed enough category. Honestly, I think that's a pretty fair decision. Pretty nice standard like business decision. Just for me to understand it, I was unfamiliar with your game. Next up is Anthony Smith. Lionheart alone is already kind of already like a badass fight name. However, he has 20 losses. 38 wins, but 20 losses. I get it. The memes was just like, oh, an Anthony Smith title run for the memes, but everyone knows it's the memes. However, he did almost got a DQ win on John Jones. So I'll say the bottom of like bro chill. It also may probably also the effect of how much he glazes himself. I think he deserves that. I think he kind of deserves it. And let's see. Next up is Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes, in my opinion, deserves to be in a little too much glaze category. Why do I say this? I say this mainly because of the fact like he only has one fight that he is known for, which yes is a really big fight. It basically harms like the legacy of like arguably the goat of the sport, and like he basically has that over him. However, it's like what happened afterward is honestly sad. But however, people hype up his whole career off of that one fight. No one really talks about him leading up to the fight, but everyone talks about him after the fight. However, that one fight gives him so much like kind of like revocation of his losing streak, where it's just kind of like a not a lot of people like discuss it, not a lot of people talk about it. Like he got KO'd from from like fucking Ryan Spain. He got knocked out by him in a minute and 20 seconds in the first round. It then took almost 2 years off to get a knockout on Dustin Jacoby, which honestly, it's like okay, like he got a win in the first time in a while, but at the same time, it's kind of just like it makes me forget he's still in the sport. But whenever anyone brings up his name, it's always like, oh, he's the guy that almost beat John Jones, and like again, he deserves all the respect for that. But I'm just saying, just a little too much glaze, just a little too much glaze. I'm just saying, he deserves it. He kind of deserves the glaze, which is why I put him at the bottom of the glaze, bottom of the little too much glaze category. However, it's just kind of like yeah, like he kind of deserves it, but at the same time, it's kind of like a you need to chill. Next up is Bogdan Goskov. Honestly, just for the fact that he's kind of like in the bottom, he's getting like he lost to Ozemir, but he got like bounced back with 2 wins. The baldness is crazy. I ain't gonna lie, that baldness is a little crazy. Um, honestly, like I say he's about in the mid category too. He's not nothing noticeable, like nothing really like noticeable about him. So I think that's a fair ranking. And then last enough is Alonzo Minfield. I also would say properly glazed. Yeah, no, there's honestly my list, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys like and subscribe for more content tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the final week of the preseason, so we'll be back on that for like it, and then like we'll end up with like the last year is basically the heavyweights, and then from there it'll just be honestly like random content here and there, in between like fight nights and like random football games until like also like basketball. So honestly like that's what it. Hope you guys like subscribe, and I catch y'all